Hey, everybody. Today we are talking about Perplexity Labs. Now, Perplexity Labs has been out for a little while, but it requires some deep sort of experimentation to see where it's going to be helpful for you. It signals the arrival of potentially a new paradigm in AI productivity that is all contained in this environment, which includes search and regular search. So it transitions from being a tool or an assistant to more like a project operating system. So your project lives to a certain extent in this environment. So it doesn't just enhance discrete tasks, it orchestrates full stack workflows. It researches, it reasons, it codes, it designs, and it delivers polished output autonomously. You basically what is it? Set it and forget it. Don't totally forget it, because you're going to want to come back and look at what is part of that data. But these capabilities are popping up more and more. So is labs building an infrastructure for AI managed work? In their materials, they talk about Perplexity Labs being an entire team at your disposal. So that's what we're talking about today. Junmi and I are in the studio. I hear Carl maybe in the studio as well. And today is June 12th, 2025. And this is the Daily AI Show. So, yeah, let me find y'all and come back. Hey, Carl. So, one of the things that I also want to say in this context is that we are doing a GenSpark episode next week. And it is likely that we're going to be comparing GenSpark with the other things, and Perplexity Lab is one of them. But we really wanted to go deep into Perplexity Labs because we love some Perplexity on this show, and it is kind of a unique offering among the systems because it creates, when it does the research for you, it creates and hosts the data. So, just to get us started, also, this is available for Perplexity Pro. I don't see it available for Perplexity Free. Junmi can confirm. And Perplexity Pro and Enterprise, it doesn't look like the limits are separate. You have 50 of these a month, and 50 is each iteration of it. So if you do a query and it generates something for you and you say, hey, can you change this? That's a second credit. It's not 50 projects, it's 50 interactions with the project, and the first interaction is potentially when you create it. So power users are saying figure it out with something else, right? Figure out what you want to ask and then go ahead and use Perplexity to use the labs feature to build that for you. Okay, so hey, Junmi and Carl, I'm gonna go greet the chat for a second. So one of you give us a sense of what you're thinking of in terms of this. Junmi, I know you don't have it in your system, but did you look, or Carl, did you look at what it could do? Carl has.
Yeah, I know. Carl has more experience with all of these different agentic projects. I don't want to call them AI agents necessarily because that term has been overused and misconstrued. But from what I've been able to read so far, they all seem to be in the same, lack of a better term, category as genre of being able to execute on your goals, right? There's some orchestration, there's some operation, and there's some generation going on there, right? And so what I'm hoping for is between between the two of you, we can see some great examples of what people have been able to do with Perplexity Labs, right? Because I'm interested in how it executes compared to those other offerings. We got to see a little demo behind the scenes of like GenSpark the other day when Carl was running us through it, and it's fairly impressive on its output. And then I think we've all seen what Manus can do, and I'm interested in the latest Manus announcement saying that they've integrated VO3. So there's a lot of back and forth here, and so I want to see what Perplexity Labs can kind of give us. Right? They talk about themselves as a project OS. They have they're defining things like a burst agent, you know, and how Perplexity Lab can work with workflow autonomy and its orchestration and things like that. So that's the kind of thing that I'm interested in, and I've got a bunch of questions, but I definitely want to see what it can offer. So maybe I'll throw it to Carl. Carl, what's your experience been with Perplexity Labs so far?
Funny enough, I canceled my Perplexity account 2 days ago. I just was finding I wasn't using it at all. Like I was using it very, very rarely because I have everything that I kind of need from the other program. So I think I usually have gone weeks and weeks without using it. So what I did though is I guess we can do a quick review here. We can share that and can see. So essentially, we go into labs. So I think I have until June until I run out. But here's something I used with it's a client of ours, and I was running this through GenSpark. And so essentially what I asked GenSpark to do, and it's fantastic. I'm not going to show you what GenSpark provided because we can run that in the GenSpark meeting.
Come back for next week.
Yeah. Essentially, I want a page with this. I want sheets. Now, mind you, all these things are specific to what GenSpark can do. Like it can do sheets, it can do slides, it can actually do this, push code, like it can do some of these things. I'm just not sure Perplexity can do any of some of these things that I specifically ask it to do. So that's literally what it's gonna try. It's gonna try to do all the things it can do, and kind of where it's at. And then we'll go from there. I ran last time, but I couldn't find where the history is because I don't think this is it. Find women whose first, that wasn't it. That was another project. But it can't I've done more than one, so I don't know if this was like months ago. I don't know.
So that's
now
are there any clear caveats? Like does Perplexity ever say these are the things that we can't do? Or is it only we can do everything under the sun, just like everything else?
No.
I haven't used
specific things.
Okay. Yeah, it does. It's some things like it's weird when they rolled it out because you kind of have to read their docs to figure out what it can and can't do. Because I think it started with being able to create graphics from your documents, I think, and then I think they just added more. But when I saw that, and I was like, oh, it's very similar to what GenSpark, Manus, Runner H, Flowwith can do.
So let me share. Let me move that to a different window. And Jensen Huang did a presentation at GTC Paris, and they have a little like 1 minute presentation. So let me get that up, and there's a little graphic that will show what Perplexity does, and we're gonna do it there. We are going to do it there. All right. So this should actually happen bigger, but you can see that it.
Can't see it.
Why can't you see it? Because it's not on. Got it. So you can see that it's thinking, its tool use, its other agents, its memory, and Perplexity has added memory. So in the whole custom GPT or OpenAI GPT memory, you have those features now in Perplexity as well. I haven't used it quite as much, and I use the systems differently. So actually, there's some aspects of memory that make me angry. But go into your account now and click in personalization and those kinds of things and look at what is being stored. For me, the reference previous queries was turned automatically on, but maybe I have that backwards, but like save memory was the other piece. So it's those two pieces that we see in OpenAI stuff as well. Okay, memory, computer use, IO prompt, and
to multi-step plans. They use the proper tools, work with other agents, and use context from memory
and of
to
course,
properly execute the job on NVIDIA accelerated systems. It starts with a simple prompt. Let's ask Perplexity to help start a food truck in Paris. First, the Perplexity agent reasons through the prompt and forms a plan. Then, calls other agents to help tackle each step using many tools. The market researcher reads reviews and reports to uncover trends and analyze the competitive market. Based on this research, a concept designer explores local ingredients and proposes a menu complete with prep time estimates, and researches palettes and generates a brand identity. Then, the financial planner uses Monte Carlo simulations to forecast profitability and growth trajectory. An operations planner builds a launch timeline with every detail, from buying equipment to acquiring the right permits. The marketing specialist builds a launch plan with a social media campaign and even codes an interactive website, including a map, menu, and online ordering. Each agent's work comes together in a final package proposal, and it all started from a single prompt.
All right, there we go.
You gotta be careful with with what you see, just because
Yes.
you can prompt it and yes, it'll do that, but is it, even with GenSpark, will it do what your or your client's specific task is? Because the prompt itself is super simple, but like there's so many, I think everybody knows there's so many nuances. And the biggest question is, can I edit a specific aspect of it? Like, yeah, I can come up with the entire thing, but I'm like, I want to edit this piece, this piece, this piece. I don't want it to regenerate anything. And if it does, I'm like, I want it to do. So there's still nuances that
Absolutely.
you still have to figure out with this stuff. And I haven't used Perplexity enough to determine, but when I did that one test, Perplexity against GenSpark, I just found GenSpark's tool capabilities a lot better than Perplexity's tool capabilities.
So can we take a look at what you ran, or is it still running?
Yeah, sure. Let me go share that again. Oh shoot. Share this tab. Sorry, open another one. Okay, so it's going through, doing this. What I like about GenSpark is you can see, I guess it's the same kind of deal where it's showing you the sources it's researched. I just kind of like the outlook on the side, but I guess it's the same thing. So it's now searching this. Need to visit. It's doing its research. I'm curious to see what that actually looks like. Okay, so it's using Python. I haven't seen it do. Well, maybe here. Let's take a look. So it's providing you the charts, which is pretty decent, right?
So why don't you give us a quick breakdown of what you've asked of it, and then we can go through what it was able to accomplish.
So I wanted to do a Spark page. I don't think it can do that. I wanted to create a spreadsheet. I wanted to create a slide deck. I want to give me email and LinkedIn posts. I want it to create me codes to push to bookings.com. And I want it to reserve 2 24-seat buses. I know it can't do this because GenSpark can actually call and use AI to reserve. I don't think it can do that. And then calendar invites. That's what it's supposed to do. I have no clue what it's doing. Well, it's still running, right? So
okay. So what has it done so far from the top? Does it look like it approaches it from the top down? Like the first thing you asked for, it hasn't generated that, or in its analysis, it gets to the pieces that it knows it can do first?
I think it can, because it's researching the right things.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I'm looking for the outputs, and I think it's still gathering all the information before providing.
Okay. So it doesn't present output based on your bullet list. It goes through all of its processing first, then presents everything.
Yes.
Okay. Is that how all of them are working, or is that the expected behavior for all of these that you've seen so far?
This is only the second time I've ever used this.
Yes, it is the expected behavior for all of the ones that you've seen. And in the video that we just showed, it said the order in which it's going to do the things.
Okay.
It does that in that order each time.
Gotcha. Okay.
So yeah, I guess you can have what's the one thing that I like about it is all the assets are in one location, versus in a GenSpark, it's all incorporated into the actual piece. So there isn't an actual assets section where I can say, oh, these are all the assets that it created for me. Oh, fantastic, right? So it's like, oh, nice. But it's doing parts of it, right? So you've got the bus calendar reservation that it's developing. You've got the social media content package that it's close this, and then this that it's developing for you. So you got a little bit of that. But like I mentioned, right, it's like the ability to create web pages and like really define slides that I can export to PowerPoint. I haven't seen, I don't think it can do that, or make phone calls for you too.
It cannot make phone calls for sure.
No, it cannot.
So one of the things that I think we are seeing here and will continue to experience is adding agentic features onto a system that already does one of the elements. In this case, already does search and deep research. And the opposite of that is to build an agent that is capable of doing a bunch of things, creating things, making phone calls, that kind of stuff, and adding a search feature into that, right? And we may be seeing at some point that there is a slide design agent, right? We might at some point see Gamma having its own thing. Gamma is a presentation system, right? So it generates the website and the slides, and now it's going to bolt on some things on top of it. That's speculation. I do not know. I'm just looking to lay out what I think is happening, is that systems that have one piece of this in their wheelhouse already are starting to add the other pieces.
Right. So we're seeing more of a holistic approach to these offerings, right? So in Perplexity's case, it looks like they're all using their different components, or adding new features, because we've heard some recent news about Perplexity adding in like a Sheets kind of capability and those kinds of things. So if is that the trend? I imagine something like GenSpark or Manus will be using different tools, but they seem to integrate them well into their back end. But there doesn't seem to be any specific highlight, like I'm going to use Canva to develop this slide deck for you. It's going to build its own systems or its own script to build that out.
Right, but of course, like Canva needs to play, right? If you're using Canva, then Canva needs to play nicely with what you've got, right? Because you can do that in ChatGPT. Like when I build the analysis after the shows, it says, "Would you like me to build this in Canva?" And I say, "Oh, absolutely," and it drops me in a thing where I can pick the template.
So that's my question. My question is, do we see a direction or path where these kinds of tools will, or maybe in their next generation, they'll be incorporating more directly these other applications? Or can you build them? So if you have your account in Perplexity, can you say, I have access to these tools? Because we're seeing integrations like in OpenAI, and tie it to your Gmail and all those kinds of things. Is this a tool function extension, right? In your orchestrator, whatever your orchestrator agent is, can you plug in or integrate your apps or your services so that that's where the output is created? So and use access to those kinds of things.
Yes, yeah, actually, yes, you can. So what GenSpark announced yesterday is their MCP store. So they have the connectors to essentially your G Suite already, so you can leverage your G Suite, which is much more flexible than OpenAI's deep research ability to use, because this is much quicker. But again, it's part of an entire overall project. But I think with an MCP store, and you can add your own MCPs, is now you can leverage this to connect to other systems that have an MCP server. So, for example, yesterday, what essentially, it was a little bit complicated, but I built an MCP server out of one of our clients' systems, the proprietary system, which is much more flexible than an API, then connected that to we built a responsive API using OpenAI as part of a little program that they're using. But now that MCP server is like, they're like, I didn't know we could do this. I'm like, yeah, it's crazy, eh? So the ability to be able to do that into really any program, as long as you have the capability, like the software allows you to do that. And with GenSpark's new MCP store and ability to add whatever you want, that just opens up all those capabilities for GenSpark. It'd be crazy for Perplexity not to do that, because you want that capability of what you just saw to be able to access anything, right? So I think right now we're in the, okay, what is the legit server, what will actually work kind of deal. But it won't be very long where whatever MCP store, wherever you're getting it from, it works quite well. And I'm going to have to tie it back to what Satya Nadella was talking about in the agentic web, where I think all providers need to have some sort of MCP connector to allow a GenSpark or whatever next level agent to go access and execute in your environment, pull information, do whatever. And we're starting to see the foundations of that right now. Like, I'm seeing that with GenSpark being able to do that. I'm like, this is actually next level use of AI, where this is actually agents going out, executing, doing things for you, right? I think the biggest problem I had with Operator was it was slow. And sorry, not Operator, some of the other agents is just it couldn't access like Outlook or some of the tools that we have. But now a lot of the tools we have some sort of MCP, or at the very least you use Zapier to run it. It's yeah, like we're seeing the build out of quote unquote the agentic web.
Oh, Beth, you're
Yep. What's happening with this is really now needing to frame how what the capabilities are in terms of your use case, right? So we've talked about agents as assistants, assisting you with your work. Perplexity really talks about this as having a team, right? That you can spin up a team when you need it, and like right there, it can get the stuff done. It takes, so Carl's example took 9 minutes. My example took 9 minutes as well. It says it can take as many as 15 minutes, but it's still, I mean, you're going to spend 15 minutes trying to pull the team into a meeting, right? Like this is starting to see the ways in which a system can function as a team and build it for you. And then, yes, it's probably not your final presentation ready, but it's also like it's interesting. It's close.
Hey guys, I missed the initial demos. I have a demo to show, and I'm not sure if you guys. I hear you talking about Teams. I used it obviously in a sales capacity with one of our more advanced research tools for researching companies. So not sure if that's valuable, but do you want me to pull that up on screen and show you the slide decks and everything else it built for researching a company in depth?
Sounds awesome. Yes.
Okay.
Before we go, did you want to see the outputs of the
yes.
of
Is
what
your
we
done?
did? And yeah, mine's done.
All right.
Hold on.
So let's
stop share that.
Let's see.
Oh, yeah. Let me just think that.
I think you have to share again, Carl.
Yeah. So, like I said, I only done this twice. So here's it in its entirety. I think like if I go to the assets, these are all the assets it's provided. And then I think with the, I'm not even sure what this is an application it built. So that's kind of neat too. Which is essentially kind of the, that's neat. That's kind of cool. Here's all the tasks. I like how it's broken down. I do think though that still how it's kind of showcasing it versus what I got out of GenSpark was still significantly what I was looking for, still significantly better. But it isn't bad when you got like the all the stuff that you particularly need. Like I think it's usable. So, and then all the sources it went up to, right? So
yep.
Yeah.
This will be interesting to review when we do the GenSpark show.
Sure.
See a side-by-side comparison.
Brian, you're up. Let's see your yeah. Nice.
Yeah, so here's what I did. I said, okay, I want to work within the labs. And if you were to look at the attachments up here, you're going to see a whole lot of different attachments. There's probably 9 in total. So what I did was the way I've talked about this on the show before, the way I write custom GPTs, and now I also use the exact same method in Gemini, and I also now use the same exact method in Perplexity, which is nice because the same prompting structure works for all of them. We call it the router structure. It's just essentially master prompts that look at router docs. Router docs then push out to larger tasks or steps, whatever you want to call them. And the reason that, among many, Beth, you prompt differently, so it's certainly not the end all be all. It's one way to do it. What it allows you to do is like you can exponentially grow, right? Because you can go to more and more and more tasks, and it sort of works like its own sort of system. So as a starting point, the reason I bring that up is because that's exactly what I did. I said, let's create a project, use the master prompt, the router document, and all the task documents to help you understand what we need to do. When you're ready, ask me what client we're working on, because that's what the GPT would do. So I just said, like, go learn really quick, Perplexity, then come back to me and ask me what we're doing. So that's the first thing it did. So it learned. And it said, yeah, this is what we need to do. And here are all the steps involved, from industry insights to benchmarking. In this particular case, we're going to deeply research a company. We're going to, like, as you would for like a new client, if you had somebody who had just closed a deal, let's say in this case, Scooter's Coffee, then what we're going to do is we're going to learn really quick, and we're going to pull in information from moving from like a BDR over to an AE who's going to actually be like working through that transition, and even into customer success, where that client's hand is going to be held, and so on and so forth. So what this is going to do now is it's like, okay, tell me what it is. Tell me who the company is. After it learned, I said it's Scooter's Coffee. Website is scooterscoffee.com. That may sound redundant, but I always say just think about how many companies sound something like Green Energy. And so you always, as a best practice, you always want to give the name of the company and the website, specifically the website, so that it's going to that particular company, not a company that has a similar name, because that will absolutely trip up AI. So you got to be careful with that. So then what it does is it gave me 91 sources. What's nice about this over ChatGPT is this would have been multiple steps within it. Now, O3 probably could have handled all of it, but what Perplexity is doing is by looking at the sources and going through the individual tasks, as you can see here, this is where a custom GPT will not fall down, but you have to we intentionally put stopping points in there, because it's not going to go all the time and go and do brand new net resourcing and cited sources for different parts of the overall task. There's like 7 different things that we need to know here, from ICPs to target personas. I need to know what Scooter's selling. I need to know where they are geographically, all the things, right? So this is going to run through all those different tasks on there. And then if we get back to what we got now in one shot, without me having to say anything else, which I love, all our cited sources in there. I think there was 91 of them. Our mission, our values, organizational scale. We have things like leadership team, who the CEO, the executive officers, our exec team are. We get into our competitive landscape, their market position for them. Who are they? They're going against Dutch Bros Coffee and Brew Drive-Through Coffee, as well as others. I don't know about you guys, but in my neck of the woods, all these little micro only drive-through coffee shops are popping up everywhere, like Caribou and Scooters and stuff. There's no inside seating at all. It looks like a micro Dairy Queen or something like that, and they only do coffee there. So those are obviously, that's becoming a bigger thing. Here's our ICPs. Okay, so then we get through all of this. This is all like 5 minutes. Set it and walk away for a sales rep or AE or account manager, or that's account manager, or a sales exec. What do I need to know? What do we need to know about this new client, Scooter's Coffee? Well, everything, right? So then what I did was I said, okay, well, we didn't really get into the lab side of it. So this is what Carl was just showing on his side. So now please provide the reports, dashboards, and presentation for this information. And so now you can see here, I can either click through this way, or as Carl just showed, I can go to the app, which, as you can see down in the bottom right, actually has speaker notes down there, which is kind of cool, because that means I could actually use this to present. Just think of me now doing a Vidyard or a Loom and sharing this as one of the reps or the pass along AE to the rest of my sales team that says, hey, I did the work, or Perplexity did the work. I'm going to do a quick voiceover of what I need to know on the team about Scooter's Coffee, from market position to competitive analysis, their growth strategies, right? That gives me 12 different slides that I didn't have to build. And then what it did after that is it ran a whole bunch of markdown reports, which is phenomenal. Love to see that, because I can grab any of those. And then we get stuff like here as far as their industry performance. We get some graphs as far as their competitive analysis, which was in the slide deck, where their growth is to 1,000 locations. We get all the CSVs that I can immediately pull and do other things with. So, perhaps I want to do other stuff there, some JSON files. and then implementation and usage, and of course you get follow-up to it. I have to say, I hadn't really messed with this a whole lot. Don't know if you guys came to the same conclusion. This is great. This is great because what this really is getting to the point of is it's a set and forget type of thing. I didn't really, other than that initial part, and honestly, if it was a project and it already knew what the rules were, I would have skipped that whole top part, and it literally would have just said, like, in a project, who are we talking about today? It's Scooter's coffee. And then I could have quite literally gone to the bathroom, gone to the kitchen, done a couple laps, gone to the store and come back. And it would have had in that 9 minutes, it would have built all that stuff for me along with the presentation deck. That is definitely getting scary close to that idea of an operator. Now, this isn't agentic, right? This is just a set of tasks that are running in order, but it definitely shows you where this is going because the agentic side of this is, hey, Brian, I wake up in the morning, I come to my desk, and it's like, hey, Brian, I know you didn't ask for it, but there's been some significant updates to Scooter, and I've already gone ahead and updated the project and the lab for you and your team. Do you want me to go ahead and push that to the rest of the team in an email? Yes. That's the hope and dream of the agentic. Hey, Jimmy, go ahead.
So actually, I just wanted to follow up with you. I know you do a lot of work in custom GPTs. Does this replace custom GPTs?
If it's something that Perplexity is really good at, like research and data pulling and stuff, then it's a different way to do it. I don't know that it necessarily replaces it. It's a different way. If your team, I have a training coming up in the next 2 weeks with a sports organization. I'll keep it there to keep it generalized, a sports organization, and they want Perplexity training. And so this is obviously something we're going to talk about in a lot of detail. I have another client that's like, that I'm doing Gemini training on. I do a lot of custom GPT training and stuff, right? So when you look at these different tools, I think it really starts to depend like where is home for them. And for the teams like this sports organization where Perplexity is a larger part of how they've decided to do things, there's no reason for me to go over to ChatGPT and be like, oh, also use this. Like, no, let me show you how to do this exactly in Perplexity because this is where your team is. So it's a whole bunch of that, meet them where they are. And what I love is that we're getting more and more options. Gemini, phenomenal with gems. Wasn't that way a year ago, but it is now. Obviously, what ChatGPT is doing, and I'm definitely at this point a fanboy of Perplexity because to me they keep making the right moves in the right directions. They seem to have a good grip, the same way I think Anthropic does about enterprise. Like they seem to have a grasp on what it is they want to be. And I don't get the impression from Perplexity that they just throw a whole bunch of stuff at the wall and be like, let's see if we can compete with Google search. That doesn't seem to appear to be. They want you to just come into Perplexity and an entire sales team to stay in Perplexity. And they're getting damn close at it. They really are.
So you can also select your sources before you initiate the lab's query.
Love it.
The source defaults to web only, but if you are doing something where you want to get a sense of what people are talking about, you can add social, which will add Reddit and search all of that. They also just added SEC as a financial source, so you can turn that on as well. They are, I think, looking to add some more of those pieces, but financials, which is SEC filings, that's now a part of it as well. No, it's super exciting. The other thing for me that's really exciting about this is if you do work in custom GPTs or OpenAI, there are quirks, right? Like you can't edit something once you either add an image or it generates an image for you. So like that's not a query you can like get in and edit to try to get something around that. So for that, fork your system, ask it to reply with like, hey, and then fork it so that you can add images in another branch so it doesn't screw you up with the beginning stuff. But Perplexity has all of these little things that I think make it a really interesting environment in which to create. Perplexity can switch to voice and back more easily. And one of the things this is private rant, sorry. But advanced voice makes you initiate another voice interaction before it writes it to your thread in which you're engaging in advanced voice. And Perplexity doesn't start giving you its voice answer until it's already written. So if you're done, you're like, cool, just go back. Ask me how I know, because I do that often. I'm like, no, I am in ChatGPT. That's so upsetting.
I like your ask me how I know. I feel like you should have a button. This is nothing to do with anything, but I'm going to tell you guys just because it's a fun show like that. Way back, right after college, my buddy Ben gets a job at Hunter Fans. If you know Hunter Fans in the United States, it's just one of your premier fan builders, right? Overhead fans, ceiling fans. And he had to wear a button that said, ask me how to be wobble free. I don't know why that made me think of it. Just one of those random memories, Beth. But he had to wear a button that said, ask me how to be wobble free. And that when you said, ask me how I know, that's the first thing I could think of is a button that says, ask me how I know about Perplexity's voice search, you know? Anyway, just neither here nor there. Sorry, I just had to get it out of my brain. That's where it went. So
absolutely.
By the way, I wanted to say too, the last thing I'll say on this, because I know I joined late, is you guys may have already touched on this, and I heard Carl briefly talk about MCP. Hey, look at this. And then just think about Perplexity be connected to Zoom Info, Palo, Gong, your CRM, and then do these labs. And then when it's looking at Scooter Coffee, it's like, do you just want me to write that email really quick that's super highly personalized based on the information we just did to the person I just sourced from Zoom Info? And I already checked your CRM. They're not in there. Do you want me to create a new record in Salesforce when I do that? I'll also put these notes in Salesforce for you so they're a net new record and you have AI-enriched data. Also, I'll check every week and just make sure nothing new has come up about scooters, and I'll make sure that gets in there too. This is what we talk about in the sales process of like humans getting farther down the chain, because this will happen agentically. You'll just have systems that run this for you, and they're like, I already checked. You woke up this morning while you were sleeping, I was working. And, you know, I already checked these 1,000 points of interest for you. And I've already made sure it's updated in the CRM. I created you a small deck to give you a summarization. And I pushed that out to the team. You cool with that? That's what humans are going to be doing, right?
Yeah, I think you highlighted a great point. All of those integrations, we'll probably be seeing tons and tons of more integrations into all these services that people already use. And it'll be a great transitional period of using those integrations until your agents and AI, foundational AI or sources can build out all of the results or services that you'll need in the future. So you won't even need all of that, all of those other services. But yeah, great point.
I had somebody ask me really quick because I saw it as I came in. I'm going to put it up on screen here. This is coming from yesterday. Gareth asked, did Brian get anything back from the phone call yesterday? He's referring to yesterday I talked about Ask for Me, which was a new Labs Google thing that I got access to, and I did it live on the show. No, Gareth, I have not. I got an email from Google said, hey, we saw that you did this, but have I actually heard back from any local businesses about window tinting, which was the example yesterday? No, I just went and checked my email. I have not. So I guess more or less to come on that, but I will keep the show and everybody updated. Thanks for asking though. I had forgotten I did that. So I went and checked for you, but no, I did not hear anything back yesterday or today rather.
Nice. So I'm going to share Perplexity Labs list of projects, and just so people can know, this gives you the whole project gallery, and when you open it, it opens in your Perplexity account. So we have education, create an interactive map, finance, create a dashboard, create an interactive global indicator tracker. They split them out into research, creative, finance, analysis, business, sports, travel, right? So, and this is actually, let's go to the Berkeley Hathaway. Yeah, wow. All right. So this is the Berkshire Hathaway.
It's not puppy. It opened a new tab.
Oh, because it did open a new tab.
By the way, Beth, I just want to say you're looking for a guy in finance, 6'2", blonde hair,
6'5".
Yeah, I was about to say.
Who corrected me? Was that Carl that corrected me instantly?
6'5", yeah.
Yeah.
Carl's like,
Get the
it's
song right.
You beat me by
Jeez.
1 second.
Jeez, man. Jeez. Sorry, go ahead, Beth. You see where my brain is today.
So this brings it up already set. And what I think this means is that you can build things and share them with people, right? So they can come in and also get the assets and tasks. And yeah. Okay.
That's awesome. And can you turn it into a Perplexity page?
Let's see. Convert to page. Export as PDF, export as Markdown, export as docx.
I love that they have Markdown as the export.
If we go, yes, it's how you know, like, okay, you actually do this stuff, right?
Yeah.
You're one of us. Come on, Perplexity. Get in the pool. You're one of us. Give me the Markdown.
And all of these assets I can download. So I can download the CSV file. I can also copy it, right? I can do those for that as well. If you want to go and audit the tasks, these are the tasks that it walked through when you were watching it go through stuff. So if, like, Brian, you went to the store in between, you can go back and audit the tasks that it did.
Ooh,
I
do like that.
And then, yeah. And then these are all the sources. So if you want to go out and look at the sources, the one thing that I'm not sure about, but I think is true, is that you can provide the sources that you want it to use. I believe that's true because you can do that. That's like part of Perplexity's thing, right? Is that you can upload the things that you want it. You can upload your own CSV files, those kinds of things, and then ask for an analysis on that.
An account, an annual report, it would be a great, or Q2, Q3 report for a public company would be a great asset that you would want to throw in there because, yeah, give me an annual report summarizer, but like actually tell me if I'm a sales rep, like, why does that matter to me? Like, it's not just about getting the summarization, right? So that would be a great asset to throw into there. Also, power move for any parents out there. It's summertime. Your kids are going to have, you know, their upcoming fall set of classes. I already know what my daughter's fall set of classes of them. I can tell you because she's going to a Catholic school. One of them is the Old Testament. Ask me how much I know about the Old Testament. Zero. So what I do as a power move, whether you share it with your kid or not, create a labs, Perplexity Labs for every single topic in science. Guess what? That stuff is publicly available if your kids go to a public school. So guess what you can do? You can log online. You can figure out exactly what the learning objectives, I believe is what they would call, for every single class in your state for that class. Get those learning objectives, throw them into Perplexity, have it create you an entire project based on that thing. Then when your kid comes to you and says, you know, whatever about a particular topic that they're doing, you have this as an asset for you. And depending on what you feel like as a parent, maybe you also give access to this. I wouldn't care. I would give my daughter access to this as well. And I'd be like, here's your AI tutor to help you with this class. So you can always ask intelligent questions. They can help you out. So just outside the box thinking with how you could use this Perplexity Labs for sure.
That's a fantastic idea. And it can go one step further for teachers who want to be able to have more resources.
Heck yeah.
Why print out a worksheet when you can, hey, here you go. Here's your worksheet. Get your answers in your work, copy that. Show me what you got.
Yeah. Well, it goes back to intelligence, right? With what Ethan Mollick talked about at the end of his book, which was like, I think we're going to get more back to like project-based work in the classroom because students will eventually, I'm not saying right now, if you're listening to this podcast, this, you know, the Daily AI Show, you're a little ahead of everybody else, right? We know that. So like you're thinking about this, but it's going to take a while for the schools to adjust. But eventually, yes, every kid will have this access, in which case you're going to have to flip, as Ethan Mollick talks about in the book. What do you do in the classroom if the students are able to get this information faster and more personalized than a teacher ever could, right? Yeah. So this is one tool in a stepping stone towards that process.
And there are so many things you could do with this, right? So this is something that I do often when prepping for this show is turn on voice mode, in whatever you've just done. And now let's have a conversation. So the first time I'm saying words out loud about the topic isn't live on air in the show, right? I've had some conversation before with AI, right? And I can have it reframe for me. I can ask it to summarize. So these are also things. We also talked, I think earlier this week or at the end of last week, about giving your test results. Brian, you said something about like getting blood work back and giving the test results. So now let's, like, if we took that into the labs thing, like, okay, I've had the conversation, I know what this is, I know what I'm looking for, right? I know what I had the conversation now with the doctor. Like, what should I be tracking week to week, month to month, whatever, to keep on top of this? And how can we turn that into a visualization, right? Like, okay, now you're able to like be your own research project. And I just find those kinds of things really exciting. So if you have something,
this is the second day in a row, right? With that. Now, Andy's not here this week. Poor Andy, because when he comes back, we're about to tell him that he's going to lead host a show on biohacking with AI, because this is the second day in a row where we've had really good ideas about that. But you're absolutely right, Beth. There used to be a company and they got bought out and it sucked, but they were called Wellness FX, and they used to have really great dashboards for your blood work. And I had mine going back 6-7 years on there. And when they sold or whatever, they closed down, I got it in basically CSV. Like, it's like, but now I have the ability now to take back control of that. So that's an awesome idea. I love that. I'm probably going to steal that.
Cool. All right. So any final thoughts for anybody?
I do. One thing is that, so if all these companies, whether it's Manus, GenSpark, Perplexity, Flowwith, Runner H, and others, because I'm starting to see every single one of these are kind of start doing similar things, right? So like the stuff that Perplexity's doing, I saw Manus doing, then I saw GenSpark doing, then Perplexity launched their labs. So it's like, I'm curious if any of the major labs will actually get into this, to be like, wait a second, you guys are all doing this using whatever, using our models. It's not hard to either buy one of these companies or just spin it up. Because I'm looking, it's like, oh, create sheets, create this, create this, create this. It's like, is it one of those things that it's going to be just be gobbled up, that you can actually run it, let's say with GPT-5 when that comes out, and they just introduce the various modes? Or this would be a good thing that Claude can do or Anthropic can do because of Sonnet and Opus's ability to literally create any type of website or landing page as good or probably better than a GenSpark. I'm assuming GenSpark is using one of these models, and like even today, like they just launched their new GenSpark launched their new parallel whatever it is that allows them to create images and run the actual things according to them 4 times faster or 10 times faster than what they were previously ability to do it. So like, I'm just curious. To me, it just makes sense that the major labs just say, hey, we'll just take this or buy this and we'll incorporate it into our product.
Absolutely. But if they did, do any of us have confidence that it would work as well as it works when it's being developed outside? I mean, well, technically Gemini has all of this, right? Mm-hmm. Like, go ahead and do it. You can generate a canvas with an app. You can create sheets of data. You can research. Why haven't they? Because they're the Titanic. Like, I don't know why they're not already doing it. So they might buy someone up.
Yeah, you just buy the company, right? And like get the Google team that works on it and just get them to work on it. That's it's always been the Facebook method, right? It's just like, I'll take you guys, take Instagram, take whatever, or
and OpenAI just bought Windsurf, right? So
yep,
this is not uncommon in the space.
I mean, Perplexity's whole end goal might be to be bought out. Good for them. You know, Manus, all of them. I mean, I hope they do. I don't know if that necessarily works out for the end user, the rest of us or whatever, if we particularly like a product, but hell yeah, man, buy something, build it, be awesome with Perplexity, and then have somebody, offer you $40 billion for it. Great. Good for you. I love that. So, I don't know if that's what the end goal is going to be or not, or Perplexity wants to stay on their own. Maybe they do have visions of being the next Meta or the next Alphabet. I really don't know. But I'm not going to be mad at them if they get a great offer and one of these bigger companies buys them. I just don't know what that means for us. But yeah, you're right though, Beth. Like, Gemini, Google's building all this stuff. It's just, I don't know. When people ask me about Perplexity, I guess my last thought on this is when people ask me like, why Perplexity? I go, I just like the user interface better. Yes. I'm just constantly happy with the results that I get, and I like the user interface. And I think sometimes that's enough of an answer.
Perplexity is definitely building for user experience, in my opinion. Google or anyone, if you buy it, don't ruin it, please. Please don't ruin it.
Funny because I canceled my plan, so I'm like, oh, okay.
Yep. I use Perplexity more than anything else, but that's because of the voice interface is preferable to me. And I just found the limit. I think it's new because I think I've talked for longer than this, but they just added a 30-minute limit. So if you're talking for more than 30 minutes, which, hey, I talk in the car, right? Like sometimes I am in that conversation more than 30 minutes.
30
it will
minutes
say,
is impressive, though.
It will say you've, we need to cut this off. So, all right. Tomorrow is Friday. We are doing our grab bag show. We're going to look back 2 weeks and talk about anything that comes into our head, because that's how the 2-week shows have gone, and we are just accepting that now. And also because it's Friday, we have a vibe coding session with Carl and Junmi and I, and we also have a sci-fi AI show. So we hope to see you all there. Also, as you've heard, Carl is super excited about GenSpark. We are too. So we're going to be doing that next week. So once the show closes, we're going to see what day Carl wants to do that, and we'll let you all know. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good Thursday.
Aloha.